trailer down, getting ready to race on the outskirts of town. I'm on my best behavior until I find that sign. No speed limit, baby. I'm running on the devil's time. I'm running on empty. I'm crying out loud. Running on empty, baby, and I ain't slowing down. Yeah, I'd race the moon across the sky. I'd race the sun going down. I'd race the devil if it came to it. Deep into the ground. I'm running on empty. Crying out loud. Running on empty, baby, and I ain't slowing down. Come on, Jan. The beat, cause up in the distance I saw a little glimpse of Rome. I know I'm disgraceful, I know I'm fully blown. The telephone post was like a picket fence down on my mama's place back home. Running on empty, crying out loud. Running on empty, baby, and I ain't slowing down. Here we go into some stops now. Well, race the moon, I race the sky, I race it, baby, I'm I'm on empty. I'm crying out loud. Running on empty, baby, and I ain't slowing down. Quarter mile of road, well, no one knows. Big block Chevy, my V8 Ford, man, you should see me go.
Come in style, John.
Yeah, no, it's great. Very good.
No Ubers here.
People got to stand on a seat.
Yeah, cool.
Righto, Chris, we got the knife.
Knife's underneath.
Do you want to get a photo with Terry?
Good morning.
Terry.
We always have to worry about glamour. What do you think sells? It's what sells. Glamour.
Righto. Go for it, John. Put it. You cut the cake.
I am not.
Terry, it's you. It's all yours.
Who cut the cake?
Now you can't cut the nice bit. You cut a tiny bit around here.
The guy who says I'm not cutting the cake and then he hands me the knife
Yeah.
and says you cut the cake, then starts to tell me how.
You're too nice, John.
It's a work of art. We're art lovers, so we won't cut the ground down there, all right?
Okay, what about towards the front?
All right.
They can actually
The
see it.
dull white bit off the front.
I'm going to come in like this.
How about you all put your hands on it then?
Okay, you ready?
Steady, ready, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
If you touch the bottom, you got a kiss and use boy.
Yeah, that's not happening.
No, he touched my body.
Soft there
And
when
then he
that
gave me a kiss. What's going on here? Is anyone doing the child protection thing? I'm not sure. Come on.
Hang on.
You're right.
Hey, can we have a slice?
Yeah. Yes. You can eat it.
Edible.
Can you cut it?
Watch out.
Do what? Are you going to cut, right?
Is it okay?
Yeah,
What is it?
it's my cake.
You can have your cake and eat it too, Terry.
Story of my life, mate. Well, it's always been my big
Yeah,
plan.
you come at, yeah.
You're going too far.
Oh, I see, right. There's a lip.
There is, yeah.
Just get ready to catch the garage off the top.
Yeah, save it. Just save it.
Don't cut the tree.
Oh, yum.
Yeah, back. Back. Come on.
Well, mate, I'm gonna crash tackle you a
This is
minute.
Halloween. Michael
Is that
Myers.
nice?
Terry Myers.
So you're getting your own cake and not giving us some.
Oh,
Good?
hey, don't tell anyone.
Hey,
It's all yours, mate.
you thought it was like this, but you can't.
Yes, a tiny bit.
Come on, boys. Go. Ready?
There you go.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's off. Oh, thank you very much.
And so they're going to be greedy in that.
John, where did the cake come from?
No, these two made it.
You can eat it.
They made it.
Very,
I've
very
known
good.
them since high school.
Yeah.
Been friends. They came on Sunday to help me run this thing.
Yeah.
And this
And
one?
they
Yeah.
built it. They built this one.
No one's going to eat that.
No, you can't touch that one.
It might be a bit hard.
That's a 10 out of 10.
Oh, good.
Oh, God, you good cake.
So you've got to take that.
Where are you from?
Maitland.
Maitland. Do you have a cake shop in Maitland?
No. We've had cake shops, but
I've spent a lot of time in Maitland.
oh,
Did
okay.
you know Judith Scobie in Maitland?
I know the name.
He had this. I used to make film at a big house out of the heritage.
Oh, okay.
Heritage.
Clear coat over it too, so it doesn't eventually fade.
Yeah.
And I've just signed.
Yeah.
How's that?
Awesome, perfect. Thank you.
One day, a group of us were going up to London from the south coast, which is where I grew up, and this was a trip of maybe 60 miles. Now, you know, that was a big trip in those days, and there were 5 of us in this 4-seater, and they all came round to my place, and we pushed it down the road to the garage, and then we pulled the plugs out, and we wet them with petrol and burned them off and till they were warmish, and then it had a hand crank. It didn't have an electric start, so we hand cranked it to pump the water out of the cylinders. And the garage guy came over and he said, "What are you doing?" And we said, "Oh, we're going up to London." He said, "You're not going up in that, mate." Yeah, we were. Plugs went back in, a couple of turns on the crank, and we made it all 120 miles. But of course, we parked on a hill. You had to park on a hill so that you could start it on the way down.
What's the coolest car?
The coolest car. I'm not going to mention that. I'm not going to mention that. I had a Morgan +8 at one stage, and everybody thought you were a wanker for driving one of those. And then I had a Lotus Super 7, and that actually people laughed at you, you know, or laughed with you. That was kind of a Tony car. But Terry and I did a country cruise in that Morgan. It was pretty good fun.
Where was that to?
Dubbo. I think we went to Dubbo. We were sort of cruising for girls. This was Wagga. Before I met my lady wife, but anyway.
What about you, mate? What's the coolest thing you owned? For this crowd.
Okay. The coolest thing I owned was a 58 Dodge Custom Royal. Torque Flight Auto, 350 V8. 58 was the only year they had a 350. It was iridescent, like metal flake grey, with red and white seats. 5 in the front seat, 6 in the back, comfortably. Instant party wherever you went. I remember once going down towards Rushcutters Bay. I had a carload of girls in the car, and all of a sudden I saw in front of me the police were pulling people over for DUI testing, and I went, "Oh Jesus!"
I'm going to ring every Serio in Perth to see if I can find him. So here I am on the block phone at the Navy base, and I'm just, "Excuse me, you don't happen to know?" And all of a sudden, she goes, "Oh, I'm Sue. And I'm Terry's sister." And I went, "Fantastic." She goes, "Just give us your bloody address and I'll talk to Terry. Give me a minute." Terry wrote me this amazing letter, which was actually better. I sent him off this poster to get signed, and I think he was in Sydney. Was it June Can Management? Is that right? Yeah. And so I sent it through to his management, and he sent me back this amazing letter, which was actually better than the autograph on it. You know what I mean? 'Cause he sort of. But I'm curious, over the years, how many complete psychopaths did that sort of stuff?
Well, plenty.
And
It's one of the weird things. I think sometimes, look, I've got to say that Dubbo, the Cobar experience has been, and I've done one of these in Dubbo as well at the drive-in. Wasn't running on an empty festival; it was running an empty screening. But most people I find are just genuinely good fans and interested in the movie, and they love the movie and they love all of that stuff. Very rare that you meet a psycho, but they are out there, and I'm sure we've all met them. You're just like, Jesus, you're a psycho.
That's right, he's long forgiven me. Did you ever have anyone sort of catch you in a moment and go, hey, are you the guy that did that?
No, not me, because nobody recognised me. But on that trip that Terry and I did down to Wagga, people would look at Terry in the street and they'd say, aren't you in that movie? And Terry would say, oh, yeah, I think, which movie's that? And oh, Running on Empty. Oh, yeah. Well, what are you doing in Wagga? Nobody ever thought people would be. And look, I've got to correct you on something.
Yeah.
When Running on Empty was first released, it was actually very popular. We did 3 months on George Street. Well, now you'd find it very hard to get 2-3 weeks on George Street. Yeah. And I don't know, around in places like Perth, they were queuing around the block for oh yeah. And one of
that's cool.
one of the producers of another film came up one time and he said, oh, you must be very pleased with how Running on Empty is going at the box office, because that's all they were interested in. And I said, I've got no idea. Nobody's told me, because that's the deal. Nobody makes any money, or none of us make any money from films. That's the way it's set up. So if somebody made money, I mean, as Terry says, it was released in all over the place,
all over the world,
and different names and stuff like that. And then I only found out this afternoon that Super Cheap Auto is selling the DVD. Well, of course, we never made a penny from any of that, but so it actually was, of its type, fairly successful. Not successful enough like you get a film like Crocodile Dundee, that they simply cannot deny that it's made a lot of money, therefore they have to give some back. But it was successful enough when it was first released, surprisingly so. But with the wrong people. All the you lot don't count as far as that. They want to make Picnic at Hanging Rock or Careful He Might Hear You, these kind of well-meaning films, and that's not what we wanted to do.
That's actually an interesting thing. I saw an interview with Quentin Tarantino once, just after he made Death Proof, and so the interviewer said, obviously your movie's not successful, and he leant in and said, no, it's successful for the people that I made it for. My question is, when you made the movie, did you know you were making a car movie for car people?
Yeah, absolutely, because I may have owned the wrong sort of car at that. I tended to go for street racing off traffic lights in the inner city rather than anything else. I had a Cooper S at that stage, and so yeah, absolutely, we were all petrol heads, and we we knew pretty well who our audience was, and we very much made it for the people. I mean, it was Post Stone was hugely influential. Two-Lane Blacktop, hugely influential, and we knew exactly what those films were doing and who was watching them, and we just wanted to do an Australian take on that.
When I was about 10 years old, I grew up on a farm in Western Australia, and my dad bought a Flying Standard with suicide doors and a sunroof, tiny, tiny little car off Mrs. O'Malley in town for $20. And we just tore around the paddocks and that. And the next door neighbours had an old Renault, like one of those little round Renault things, with a great little car. We would race each other around the dams and around the various, tracks in the bush and stuff like that. So I'd always been a bit of a petrol head. So when I started to talk to John, we were talking the same language, because I'd also grown up drooling over the muscle cars that were coming out of America, just the ads with all of the guys and the girls in kind of flares and hot pants and cars that would go, 140, 150 miles an hour straight out of the showroom kind of thing. Just going, oh, this is nirvana. I don't know what it was, the arrival of that kind of stuff to Australia was mind-blowing, And when we first started producing our own muscle cars, that was a whole other thing. Like, wow.
The XP Coupes and stuff changed it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was playing in a band at the time, and the band broke up, and within no time at all, I'd got this role in the film, and I went from earning, a living wage in those days with the band was about $200 a week, and that was kind of quite good money. But went from that to $1,500 a week, and it was like I nearly choked because I got an agent too, because I walked into an agency, and it's very hard to get an agent. And the agent, I met some friends had set up a meeting with this agent, and she said, "Hello, darling, how are you?" Look, she was very aware that she was seeing me because of my connection with her friend. And she started to explain to me how difficult it was to get an agent, and how it's hard to find work as an actor, and it's difficult to get a job. And I went, I think I might have a job. And she goes, "Oh, really? What sort of job?" And I said, I think in a movie, I think. She goes, "Movie? Well, what's it called?" And I said, "I think it's Running on Empty." She goes, "Running on Empty? You mean Running on Empty, the film Running on Empty?" I go, yeah, I think that's that one. She just sit right down, darling. And she picked up the phone and she rang someone. She said, who's doing the Running on Empty thing? They said, bloody Mazel's casting. She said, "Hang on, are you looking at Terry Serio for one of you?" "Yes, he's our leading actor." She just went, would you like a cup of tea?
They give you a beer.
I said, yeah, and a scotch and a beer chaser, please.
Cigar. Well, we're going to get the movie started very shortly, but I've got a final word I was talking to Deb Conway, and she gave me a final word to say.
Oh, really?
She said during the movie, she expects lots of wolf whistling at the shower scene. And she said to pass on her best. Any final words, Terry?
I just want to say that the experience of making Running on Empty was truly one of the great experiences of my life. It brought together so many elements, cars, movies, music, just great people. We've all stayed connected in this, knowing we're connected by this movie. All of the cast and a lot of the creatives as well. And it's just been a blessing, and I often just say, make a decision, being grateful is a choice, and I am very grateful for that opportunity to do that film, because it opened the start of my career as an actor, and I certainly didn't want to work in a bank, so I just had it, Ren pushes a lot of them, the pair of them.
And John?
Well, I think many of you heard me say before that it was one of the worst experiences of my life, and it wasn't until arriving here in 2018 that we just realised how many people we'd affected by the film, and that was fantastic. And coming to Cobar and just getting involved with people who loved the film was a justification for everything we did, and it made whatever bits of misery there may have been well worthwhile. And I don't know, Jeff Rammer was here then, and I only just heard this, but he had thought up until then that his career in films and acting was a waste of his life until he came here. And everybody was just so on side with everything that he'd done and just loved it so much that made it worthwhile for him. And that's how I feel. We love it here. We love a lot of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for John and Terry.
I'm running on that baby, and I ain't slowing down.